Ah yes, buying an old fiberglass boat. Ever so often I offer a course to prospective old boat buyers. I call it How to Get a Boat for Free, or Almost Free. But remember, there's usually a reason that boats are free. At any rate, this is not that course. Here, we'll be expecting to spend money. When shopping for an old fiberglass boat, remember several things. First thing to remember is that a well-made 40-year-old fiberglass boat will be in good shape, I hope, and offer good value for the money, but it won't be very stylish. Now, 71% of boats sold in North America a few years ago were used boats. And there are many very good used boats available at reasonable prices. I've owned 3 boats in my day. They were all purchased used. Strange thing is that the wood in your fiberglass boat is the thing that will cause you the most grief. If moisture gets into the wood inside your decks and cabins, then it will rot, causing, among other things, soft, soggy decks. The boat I most recently wanted to buy was a cruiser, something my mate and I could take away on vacation, but also something I could sail single-handed. We wanted it to be big enough in the cabin that me, a 6-footer, could stand in the main cabin, but also something small enough that would take an outboard motor. I also made a list of features and accessories I wanted on the boat. It's cheaper to buy everything used than it is to buy a bare boat and then have to equip everything else at retail. I put a jib furling device on the top of my must-have list. I remember not having one on the previous boat and the difficulties I had when I was single-handing. Next was the outboard motor issue. I wanted to be able to take the motor to the mechanic rather than have to have the mechanic come to the boat. Also, the smell and the safety concerns with older inboards and just about everything else from bilge fans to more through hulls that can sink your ship. All that stuff makes me nervous, so I was certainly looking for some boat with an inboard. After you have a list of the features you must have, find a boat that make and model that most closely fits your specs. Research is really key here, and I find that finding the right boat is usually fairly easy when I use the internet. It's a great source, the internet. It's keeping in mind that not everything on the internet is true, so check your sources carefully. Owners groups are a good source of information, but keep in mind that they've already bought their boat and they may want to justify their purchase. I find that this particular magazine I have is also very helpful. In the Northern Hemisphere, the best time to buy a boat, I believe, is in late autumn. It will be out of the water, so you can see the hull, and you can talk to the owner, and probably the owner has already paid for winter storage and spring launch, so that sort of is included in your offer to purchase. Since you will have the entire winter to prepare, you can also take a boating course and get those required licenses. In Canada, you will have to transfer the boat ownership with the Canadian government and get a pleasure craft operator's card. If your boat came without some of the gear that you want, the winter is a great time to buy. I'll tell you later about a few tricks for saving money when you're buying those accessories for your boat. Before inspecting a boat, ask the owner if they've had a recent marine survey. A marine survey is a document prepared by a professional surveyor that lists all the major equipment on the vessel and the overall condition of the boat. This survey also tells you if the boat does not comply with safety regulations and any work that may be required. It also provides an evaluation of the approximate resale value of the vessel. be aware, of course, that some marine surveyors will exaggerate the value of the vessel to please the client. Now, if there is no survey or the survey is very old, consider having a survey done. They may seem expensive, but they can save you thousands of dollars later on. Having a recent marine survey that's within 5 years of age means that you won't have to pay for a survey for insurance purposes. This becomes important later on. That could save you an additional $500 in the first year you own the boat. Beg, borrow, or rent one of these. This is a moisture meter, and make sure you know how to use it, by the way. A moisture meter will tell you the amount of moisture that remains in the hull of the deck of the boat that you're considering buying. That's a major problem that most older fiberglass boats have. Learn to recognize what is osmotic blistering. Osmosis is when the moisture gets trapped in the core of the boat. It's the fiberglass equivalent of wood rot. Older fiberglass boats made before builders figured out how to make shortcuts often don't have osmotic blistering. Boats that spend the winter out of the water are less likely to have osmotic blistering too than those who spend the entire year in the water. One more thing, don't fall in love with a boat. I've done it, and it almost cost me an additional $5,000. I saw a boat that I really wanted. It was in great shape. It had new sails, a redone cabin. It was sitting on a tandem trailer. They wanted $14,000, and I offered all the money I had put aside for the boat. But it was not to be so. It was just too beautiful. Then I realized that most marinas near me will not store trailers. They want folding steel cradles because of space limitations. The offer was still on the table when I saw another boat with a cradle that I could have for $5,000 less than I'd offered for the other boat. It also came with winter storage and spring launch already paid. If after carefully looking over the boat and having it surveyed, consider this. Is it a buyer's market? Yes, it is. It is a buyer's market. You can get a lot of boat for a little money if you have cash. Offer to buy the boat for cash. The boat I was buying that was once $8,000 became $5,200 cash. There's that belief, it's my money and I want it now. That seems to be the call. Now in this particular case, the boater took a certified check instead of cash in a suitcase, but it's still like cash. One other thing. There are yacht brokers as well as private sellers. In Canada, you will pay the HST or harmonized sales tax up front if you buy from a broker. Brokers are more knowledgeable than you or I. But you will spend more money probably with a broker. Buying a boat directly from an owner can be a very risky business. They may know the boat is about ready to fall apart or the engine is about ready to blow, but they don't have to tell you. A good marine surveyor can save you a lot of money if you choose to buy directly from an owner. Listen, I've been talking for, I think, about 8 minutes or so, and you must have some comments or questions. I invite you to make these comments below on the YouTube, and questions, you can go directly to my Grampian Marine Gmail account. It's Grampian Marine, all one word, at gmail.com. Now, in part 2 of how to buy an old fiberglass boat, we'll talk about making a list of the most important features that you want, finding the boat you really want, and then finally, how to make an offer to purchase. We also look and talk about where to keep the boat and making a budget so you can afford it. I'm Allan Stokell, and thank you for watching this episode of This Old Fiberglass Boat.